The next speaker is Abir Ranjan Biswas.
Providing this opportunity. The Central Educational Institutions Reservation in Teachers Cadre Bill 2019. I feel this is yet another effort to bring equality by reviving the 200-point roster as against the 13-point system put forth by the High Court of Allahabad. The aim of providing is to consider a central educational institution as a unit in place of departments. Sir, the UGC guidelines of 2006 were quashed by the High Court of Allahabad on 7th April 2017. So I have a question. Why didn't the government introduce this bill in the following sessions? The Supreme Court too gave a similar verdict on 23rd of January 2019. The Parliament was in session, as we know, sir, this year from the 31st January to 13th of Feb. Again, sir, we didn't find the government making any effort to legislate on the matter. Instead, sir, an ordinance was promulgated on the 7th of March 2019, just 3 days prior to the announcement of elections. This cannot be a mere coincidence, is what I feel. This held a clear intention of taking advantage of time to make hollow promises. Also, sir, if we look at the past, sir, during the last, after 30 years of independence, in the period of 30 years after independence, we see out of every 10 bills that were passed, only one was an ordinance. If we go for the next 30 years, we see of the 10 bills passed, only 2 were ordinances. And if we go by the records of the last 2 years, most deplorably, sir, we see that of the 10 bills passed, 4 of them have been ordinances. In this regard, sir, I have deep concerns. Sir, promulgating ordinances time and again is against the very spirit and nature of a parliamentary form of government. This house is constituted of eminent and learned representatives of the people, and by promulgating ordinances on every matter, the government is exhibiting an absolute authoritarian feature. Also, sir, it is discarding the views and inputs of the house. And also, we know the house sits to give us much better laws which the Indian people deserve. But as of today, as we saw, most deplorably, the way the government is functioning, we had many honorable members who were complaining that they have been given their, denied their rightful opportunity of putting in their suggestions and all that they could have made points by not providing them the reasonable opportunity in the form of amendments. However, sir, we understand that the House should be given due importance and the respect it deserves. I request the government to modify this process of discharging functions. Next, sir, I would like to say the bill mandates reservation for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other backward classes to fill up more than over 7,000 vacant faculty positions in educational institutions. This is definitely a welcome step, but the process that this government has adopted is no doubt faulty and promotes the interests of certain sections of the society. So, I would like to further say that we know that the new notification is also an attempt to dent efforts to ensure representation of SCs, STs and OBC categories as per the constitutional mandate of 15, 7.5 and 27% respectively. If this system is taken, all professors of the same grouping across all departments in the university will be grouped together to estimate the extent of the quota. As a result, positions open will be reduced, limited and not filling up positions as per requirement of subjects. Some departments, subjects will have all reserved and some all unreserved candidates. Moreover, the number of vacancies will not meet the required constitutional mandate. This is nothing but a sheer motive to leverage positions for the upper caste candidates. This bill proposes to dilute the entire concept of reservation itself. Today, the reservation system in our government posts is on the basis of the posts and not the number of vacancies in the arena. So, why should the same system not be followed in educational institutions as well? This bill proposes to bring about a systematic change in the basis of reservation. It is only introducing a system of discrimination in the educational institutions that will only alienate the backward classes. Sir, I would also like to say that Section 4, subsection 1 and subclause A, this provides for I feel, a discriminatory clause. It has provided that certain institutions will be kept out of the provisions of this bill. I would request the Minister to explain the basis of such selections of the institutes. All the institutes fall under the category of science and technology, I understand. But when we are doing this, is the government again repeating the same mistake of doubting the capabilities of the concerned category, that is the SCs, STs, OBCs? When these universities have reservation for the student community, why not for the teaching community as well? Also, sir, I would like to question, is the government creating a sense of division and discrimination in appointing positions to the socially and economically deprived in these institutions of esteem? Is the government questioning the capabilities and undermining those that are entirely eligible? Also, sir, we can see an honorable member from the Treasury benches, he was taking the credit of having given the reservation for the economically backwards. In most, and after taking all the credit, it is most stark, sir, that in this bill itself, they have been deprived. Also, sir, I would like to say that I have a few suggestions for the Honorable Minister. Firstly, reservations should be allowed for the universities that are excluded, because if the criteria put forth by them is met by any candidate of the concerned section, then why not give him or her the opportunity? Why not give the devil his due or her due? Anyway, secondly, a regulatory body should be constituted to ensure proper functioning of the provisions of the bill. And in case of any dispute, it can discharge quick verdicts. This is so necessary because even after this ordinance we have namely 4 universities, I'll name them: the Central University of Punjab, the Karnataka University, the Tamil Nadu University, and the Indira Gandhi National Tribal University. All these did not comply with the provisions. This would have gone unnoticed, sir, if it was not brought up by one of the honorable members of this very august house itself. Also, sir, this is why a responsible body to handle the affairs is necessary. This body should be entrusted with the duty of looking into the judicial matter if arising after employment. This is because every other day we come across cases involving hatred towards vulnerable sections concerned in the bill, namely the SCs, STs, and OBCs and economically backward EWs. Doubting and questioning their capabilities is not right, I feel. There is a high chance that the teachers being appointed through this will also face similar problems, and that is why this is very necessary. This is also very important and imperative, sir, I feel, because, and as most alarmingly, when we soon aspire to make India third largest economic power of the world, we declare a mission to the moon, we boast of prowess achieved in space, which only 3 other nations in this globe are capable of. We are failing to provide a level ground for all. This, sir, is proved by the fact that atrocities meted out to the backward classes has increased by 37% in the last decade. So, in this regard, I would also like to say that moreover, sir, to avoid cases like that which involve suicide of Rahit Vemula, this is a very important step that the government can and should take, and it cannot be done until serious steps are taken. Sir, also, in this case, we have another most unfortunate case that took place recently, as recent as May, in Mumbai, where a young medical professional, Payal Tadvi, she lost her life due to suicide arising out of casteist slur and discrimination. Sir, in this regard, I would like to mention that Sri Sukhdev Thorat, a professor emeritus of JNU and former UGC chairman who led the committee to investigate the allegations of discriminatory treatment against SC and ST students of All India Medical Sciences, that is AIMS, had found that lower caste students have faced discriminations in everyday lives at the Premier Institute. About the measures that should be taken to check the discriminatory behavior, he said, and I quote, "There has to be an act by the government to make caste-based discrimination at the university campus a punishable offence. Apart from this, a set of guidelines should be formulated for the upper caste students on how to behave in presence of students from the marginalized sections. Sir, I would finally say that jobs and
Mr.
educational
Biswas, you have
reservations-
to conclude now.
Sir, I am concluding. I am just concluding, sir. Jobs and educational reservations are very vital in the view of Dr. Ambedkar. He had wanted reservations in services and educational institutions to be permanent. If those reservations were not put in place, this would have led to a constant struggle of the oppressed, who would have never found a channel to come into the mainstream. What would have been denied to them, they would have taken by force. Thus, we have to ensure measures to bring the backward classes in public service and provide them with what is rightfully due to them. Thus, I would like to request to send this bill to a standing committee where stakeholders from all fields associated with this bill will be consulted and proper legal suggestions are taken to correct the provisions of this bill that would otherwise only undermine the essence of reservation and its effects. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.